more lights, the better.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the secret to a beautiful tree, actually.
So tell me about Christmas decorating. Why is it such a big deal to you?
Um, we've always done it like from the time I was a kid. Like my dad and I would go out and get the tree together.
Mm.
He's a logger, so we would truck through the snow and get the tree, put it up. My mom had ornaments from her grandparents and from her mom.
Oh.
It was just something that we did in our home, and I thought everybody went Christmas crazy. I thought everybody decorated their house like that. And then I realized that actually, no, I do this a little
You're
more
extra.
than people.
Well, what does it mean to you then to see an ornament in front of you?
I love it. Like your last person that you talked about on air there. Like when I open up an ornament, I think it brings back all the memories of what that was. Like, was
Mm.
that someone that gave it to me? Was it a trip that I was on where I picked
Yeah.
it up? Did it come from my grandmother? So when you decorate your tree, it's just bringing back all of those memories, and yeah, it's really special. And yeah, it's like they become part of the family.
You know, it's true. I have to say, decorating the tree has always been a big deal in our house. A little less so now, a little less sort of fun and festivities because my kids are now older. So they're a little more, I don't know, cynical. But at one point, it was like clamoring to get those decorations. But I was doing our tree over the weekend and just pulling out, oh my goodness, I remember getting this when we were over in Alaska. I remember this one was made by my daughter in kindergarten. And so it brings you so much warmth and knowing that it only happens once a year, right? You only unwrap this once a year. It's such a special moment. And for you, you are making actual landmarks of Vancouver and BC. I love them. The gas down steam clock, for example. What led you to doing that?
Well, whenever I go on a vacation, I like to pick up an ornament from the place that I've been. And it could even be just a business trip or something like that. I like to get an ornament that is specific to that region. And, not something that you could get anywhere that just has, the stamped imprint of whatever the city name is on it, but you could get that same ornament anywhere. So I wanted something that was specific. And in places like New York or Chicago or like really big cities, you can usually find those. But there are a lot of places where you just cannot find something that represents where you've been. And so I thought, you know what, if I'm having trouble finding those ornaments when I travel, I bet you people are having a difficult time finding them when they come here.
Mm.
And so I thought, well, why don't I do that? Why don't I design some? And it had been mulling in my brain for quite some time. And then, at work, I was, stressed out and I needed a creative outlet. And I said, well, I'm just going to do it. So I tried and people loved them. And what surprised me, though, was I thought that this was going to be for tourists. And really, the people who love these ornaments are the locals because
Wow.
it reminds of home, right? And people who have grown up here and maybe moved away, and they've got a little piece of Vancouver on their Christmas tree and those memories. So
They are lovely. I don't, do you have any with you right now?
I I do. This is my new one for this year.
Oh,
This is the Harbor Center.
Harbor Center with the observation deck on top.
Yes, and the red elevators. That's a nod to the '80s. Uh, because they're blue right now, but I thought red is more Christmassy, so we got an '80s Harbor Center.
I love
So
that.
that's
And it's gold.
yes, like you gotta use your imagination a little bit
Yeah.
because I say it's the sun setting on the building.
There you
So,
go.
so this was last year's, and this is the Vancouver special. And this was a hot item last year. It sold. Normally, I buy enough or produce enough that I could have enough for 3 years, and I sold out in 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So
I
it was
love
great.
that.
And people who love this is anybody who's lived in a Vancouver special wants one of these. And it's also just kind of a pop culture thing now too. Like people just, it was outlawed in 1988 because they were so ugly or considered that. Now everybody loves them. So,
That's so
haters
true.
gonna hate, but
talk about a throwback to the 80s. I mean, that brings me right back to, traveling down Vancouver streets. You see the rows of Vancouver specials. I mean, that is niche. That is really
Oh,
niche.
absolutely. And especially like it's East Van and Marple. Those are the two regions where you get most. But I'm getting people buying them from everywhere because they've moved away. And it's, again, this little memory
I love
of
that.
their first home. Um, and so the most popular one this year is actually one from several years ago. And I don't know why, but all of a sudden everybody wants the water taxi.
The Falls
And
Creek water taxi.
yes.
That is
So
beautiful. And you've got the little windows and everything.
windows and then the little life preserver on the top. All of the designs have to be simplified a little bit just to be able to blow them in glass. But this one I did so that it could be see-through and you could actually see through the windows to the other side.
That's
So
amazing. They look like little stained glass windows. I wonder because there was a sighting of an orca right beside a water taxi. You're gonna have to have an orca as well, just right beside, hanging
yeah,
right
one of these
beside that.
years.
Yeah.
And then this is the perennial favorite. This
Yes,
is the Gastown steam clock.
of course.
And
Bronze.
yes, it's popular both with tourists and with locals. It's very elegant. So if you have an elegant tree, this is one for that. And then I have 10 different ornaments.
Yeah.
I don't have them all here, but
What
everybody likes a different one just depending on who you are and what interests you.
Yeah, if you lived in a Vancouver special, I had some friends who did, so that brings me right back. Let's put out the numbers again: 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. They are working, so do call us and let us know what ornaments are most meaningful to you. Just don't hit pound 690 as that is the line that's not working. But the 1-800 number and the 669-3733, you can get right through, as well as on our email. And we have lots of great emails coming in. Jan writes, my favorite ornament is not an ornament per se, but it's my grandmother's vintage 18-inch ceramic tree with lights that she made 40 plus years ago. Oh, when I went back east to pack up my mother's house, that is the one item I had to bring back with me. I could not wait to put it out this year. Oh, that's so amazing. It brings back many memories, Jan writes. Thank you very much. Lovely. Dawn writes as well, I have 3 hand-beaded stars from my pen pal of 45 years in South Africa. She sent them to me about 25 years ago, and they always make me think of her and how one day I will travel to Cape Town to meet her. We corresponded by handwritten letter for a very long time, and then by email, and then we started on Facebook Messenger. Wow, to think that you have a pen pal for 45 years. And there it is, an ornament, 3 ornaments to remind you of your longtime pen pal. That is lovely, Dawn. Mina writes, I wait until a few days before Christmas and gather windfall branches to tie together to make a tree. Oh, that's great. Ecologically minded as well. Meg writes, I grew up in Nova Scotia, and every year my mom gives me a new commemorative holiday ornament that is made by Amos Pewter in Mahone Bay. Each year they release a special ornament. And this year my son is building a custom display case so we can display our favorites. Oh my goodness, get your son involved as well. That is wonderful, Meg. Thank you very much. bctoday@cbc.ca is our email address. What's going through your mind listening to these, Rhonda?
Oh, well, yeah, it's beautiful. Like when people buy ornaments from me, they tell me their stories too. So I
Yeah.
hear so many of these stories. I hear about the people who worked at Woodward's when they were a kid, or parents took them to the windows to window shop or see the displays. So yeah, I think for me that's one of the best parts of this business is hearing people's stories.
Wow. And how do you feel thinking that your designs are sitting in someone's tree somewhere and helping them light up their holidays?
It just brings me a lot of joy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it brings me joy. It makes me happy.
We have a caller now, and let's just wait for the name to pop up here. Again, our number is 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And Basil is on the line from Port Coquitlam. Hi, Basil.
Thanks a lot for this program, and thanks for these lovely ideas for Christmas decorations. You know, my wife brings these out, and it's my favorite, and I just love them. Two coyotes with their mouths wide open and their song sheets in front of them, singing their hearts out, Christmas carols. And I just thought, boy, how much joy does animals bring to our lives, and especially children. Well, we're all that part of our childhood in us. We love animals, and so let's do something for the animals at Christmas, and let's be generous in looking after every animal in the world and do what we can for the environment to help the animals.
What a great way to look at it, and using it as your ornaments as a reminder of being passionate about protecting animals and creatures, Basil. Thank you very much. And that just brought a giggle to me, thinking about two coyotes singing Christmas carols. There's such a whimsy to ornaments, isn't there? What do you think, Rhonda?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. And you find joy in whatever ornament that you have with that memory, but like, there are some really cute ones too. Like we have, I have a taxi with Santa waving out of it from New York. Similar ones when I went to San Francisco, we got the streetcar, and I really like color and fun. So that's why I have a multicolored tree. And I think when the kids were little, that was really fun too. But you can do your tree with that kind of whimsy, or you can do something that's really elegant too. Really just depends what your style is.
And now, what are your own tips for decorating the tree, and how to distribute to the different types of ornaments that you have?
Oh, well, one of the things that I like to do is I put all my ornaments out before I put anything on the tree. And I take the big ornaments and put those kind of on the bottom to the mid-level of the tree. And then the mid-size ornaments, they can go kind of like anywhere on the tree, but then I reserve the smaller ornaments for the top. And then you just get a nice proportion throughout the tree. And I find that just is pleasing to the eye. The other thing that I like to do is sometimes do little groupings. So for example, I'll have a whale ornament and a fish ornament and a narwhal all kind of together. My husband's a musician, so I'll do a grouping of musical instruments kind of in one section of the tree. So I like to do those little themes with the specific ornaments. And then with the colored balls and the simple ones, I like to distribute those evenly throughout the tree. And one of the things is reserving the long branches for your longer ornaments so that they can hang and dangle and kind of like swirl a little bit if there's movement, as opposed to laying flat on the tree. You don't want, because then you lose the movement, and you lose the sparkle when they move. So those are a few tips.
That's right. That's something that is a little pet peeve of mine when I'm putting up an ornament and I can tell that it's just a budding a branch rather than off on its own being able to twirl. I need to move it. It's a little, it just bugs me. And I know you also say that the non-breakables should go on the bottom.
I put non-breakables on the bottom for three reasons. We had a dog for many years, and she loved the Christmas tree, and her tail would wag and she would knock ornaments off. So there was a dog. And then we had the kids, right? And it's really hard to get them not to touch what's on the bottom. So I like putting the non-breakables on the bottom as well. But even at Christmas Day, when you're pulling ornaments or your presents in and out from under the tree, you don't want to be knocking them off and breaking them, because those are treasures. So put those non-breakables on the bottom, and you don't have to worry about it.
That is really interesting. I logically in my head, I thought, oh, why would you do that? I would think you'd want them up top, but that makes a lot of sense if you got people and if you have a busy Christmas Eve or something like that, just someone just bumping into it.
Yeah, brushing into the side. Like my sister broke some ornaments, and then she She felt so bad. Like she bought me a six unbreakable so that I could replace and put
Oh,
on the box.
yeah, laid a guilt trip on her, did you?
I didn't, but she laid it on herself. So,
And what about tinsel? What is your stance on tinsel?
well, my husband and I have this big disagreement. I like the old-fashioned tin icicles. Then they have the swirl. I can pick one off the tree here to show
Yeah.
you. So these are the
Oh,
old-fashioned kind,
beautiful.
and they're usually made with out of tin, and so they're very soft. This particular one is a reproduction. So this a number of years ago, Restoration Hardware did some reproduction ones, but I also had about 2 or 3 dozen from my mom that she gifted to me. So I prefer those, and I put those on the tree. And my husband loves tinsel because that's what the tree he grew up. So we have this deal that every other year I'll do tinsel for him, and then on my year we do the icicles instead. So,
What year is it
but
this year? It's your year.
it's my year.
He has to wait a whole nother year to get his tinsel.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
compromise, though. It's a good
Yeah.
compromise.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I also find the tinsel to be a little bit difficult. Like, you always get it bunched up
Yeah.
and taking it off. And then if you want to use it, like I always use it for the next year, like we don't throw it out. I know some people do that because it's hard to handle, but I don't like doing that.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of waste.
you
Yeah.
have to be really careful with pulling it off and keeping the strands together so that they don't tangle.
And is he assigned to doing that?
Yes.
Yes,
If
there
he
you go.
puts the tinsel on, he takes the tinsel off.
It's the price to pay. I don't see any macaroni. Do I see any
No.
macaroni angels? Okay, I've got
Well,
some.
you know what? I have a whole separate tree for all the homemade ornaments.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
I have 3 trees in my home. So this one has everything that's shiny. And then I have a tree that's all the homemade or wooden ornaments that I've collected. And then I have a little tiny one that I have that with my own designed ornaments as well.
Oh, okay. I believe I buried the headline. I'm talking to someone with 3 Christmas trees. You have just started us on the road to the holiday spirit, Rhonda. Thank you so, so much.
Well, Merry Christmas. It's not too early.
No, okay, I'll start too. Merry Christmas to you. That's Rhonda Nowak, the founder and owner of Vancouver Christmas Ornaments. And thank you for all your emails. I can see them still coming in. BC Today at cbc.ca.